All right. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. All praises to the Most High. Uh, Tonight we have a special guest, Mr. Jimmy McPhail, who's a former UPS worker. And he's going to tell you about some of the racist treatment that he has received and witnessed as a UPS driver for how many years?
33 and a half years.
33 and a half years. Now, he's also going to share some other instances of racism within that company. Just let me go ahead and share this video to some more locations. And I appreciate y'all for watching, liking, sharing. If this is your first time to the channel, please subscribe and share the video. And I appreciate your support. Let me share this one more time. But yeah, so and if you guys have been watching the channel within the past couple of weeks, I have shared two stories, and I actually have another story to share about black firemen who one instance that his white co-worker tied a noose right in the middle of the fire station and threw it to him. And he was pretty much let go after he complained about it, and he's still trying to get his job back. Another instance, two white firefighters chased a black man around the fire station with the noose. And, I think they were let go, but, I think there was no compensation given to the brother. And there's another story, which I'm going to share, of another person, a personal story like Jimmy's. A guy called me when he saw those and he wanted to weigh in. So racism in the workplace, definitely in these, southern towns, is a big deal. So, without further ado, I'm going to let Jimmy McPhail tell you a little about his experience. First of all, thank you for agreeing to come on and share this information with the people.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for having me.
Yes, sir.
And my name is Jimmy McPhail. I spent, as you said, 33 and a half years at UPS. And when I retired after 33 years, my record was spotless. So I want it to be clear. I'm not a disgruntled employee, not at all. But I am an employee that has a lot of great concern for other employees that may come behind me. And anything I can share or do to make the workforce better, I'm all for it. First of all, yes, UPS, a Fortune 500 company, is one of the most racist, corrupt, dishonest company in the world to work for. And most people like me that have worked there at 33, you wear and carry the nightmares that come with it after you leave, like I have. I have been gone about 13 years, but the nightmares still live on of the torture treatment that you get from that racist company. And I think most time racism starts at the top with the CEO of these companies. In most cases, racism don't start from the bottom and go up. It comes down because you have a chance to cease all of this anytime. But when you allow this over and over to carry on, this is what you get. But let me get into the story, some of the things that I've seen. Blacks like myself have been forced to work when you are sick with the flu, can barely see. You are forced to work and threaten, harass. Not only that, when I had knee surgery from two dogs trying to attack me, UPS nurse and manager told the doctor to force me to work when I was not able to walk, which is clearly a company violation which they have violated for many, many years. And after I went through surgery and all of this, I was trying to recuperate. They is constantly calling you, harassing you when you're coming back to work, when they have a doctor's note telling you that you can't come back to work until the doctor approves you. But in my case, the doctor speeded it up to satisfy management, which they have been doing for years. They force people literally back to work that's not able. And in many cases, you have to go out on disability and suffer the pain. What was one injury became about 6 or 7 injury after I was forced back to work. My knee swelled so big that trying to walk on it, I damaged both of my ankles, my right knee. I had problem with my lower back, and I had hip problem because of the overcompensation of the 8 days I worked. After 8 days, the rescue squad had to come and get me out of my house and take me to the hospital and shoot me up with medication. And the physical therapy that I was going to told me, he said, I don't know why they would send you back to work. They could look at your knee and see clearly you was not clear to go back to work. But this is a pattern that's constantly that UPS have used against black people. They are racist. Not only that, when you have a company that has management that make a comment that black people, the reason it's so hot in the building that black folks are from the jungle and they are trying to get it back like their homeland, what did that tell you? And then they tells a white female who's dating a black guy, I heard you effing niggers. I mean, this tells it all about how racist. And you can file, I'll file complaints to Atlanta headquarters. It ain't gonna do no good because when you have somebody up there at the CEO that represent the grand wizard, what I call of the Ku Klux Klan, how far do you think that's gonna go?
So
And
you
not
said
only,
you said the CEO represent the Grand Wizard.
I said, the image that I
Okay.
call it, grand wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, that's the image that they give me.
Hmm.
And a lot of other things. Racism is something that we have talked about, filed complaints about. And what happened, UPS does an investigation, but it's an in-house and a closed and shut. It's more like sweep everything up under the rug and continue to carry on with what's going on. And too many blacks are afraid to speak out and tell the truth, what really goes on, because it takes a special man to write a book. I wrote a book about this company, and there's nothing in this book that's not true, that can't be proven. He said, and let me give you another example. And I call this white privilege and policy. In the 80s, when I was working in Goldsboro, there was a center manager. Well, the policy tells center managers you are not supposed to be fraternized with employees. But this manager was caught in his office by a mechanic, one of the mechanics, in a sexual act. And instead of firing him, they promoted him to a district or division manager. This is the same manager that told a white supervisor and a white employee that somebody had stole his clothes out in the car. And he said to those two, it had to be some of those black ass niggers. And the supervisor came back and told me, was shaking his head in disbelief. He said, man, I'm sorry. I said, man, you don't have nothing to be sorry about. I said, what he said doesn't surprise me. He said, why? I said, because when he walked through that door, I knew what he stood and represent. I said, I have that gift. And he went on and there's another incident. When you look at in Ohio in March the 15th, 2019, There was a black female who talks about her experience at UPS was living hell. This is the place, I think, where they found the noose hanging up in the workplace, and they had a doll of a monkey dressed in a brown uniform representing, supposed to be referring to black people. He said, in this same company, a white female told a supervisor that she was not going to deliver any package in a black dominant neighborhood. She called that neighborhood Niggerville in Nigger City, and she could still keep her job because UPS managers and the union, in my opinion, feel and think the same way about black people. Because if any black had have made that comment about a white, they would have been fired immediately with no question asked. And here's some other issues, uh, racial issues that we face.
Is this the picture that you was talking about?
Yeah, that's them pictures. That's those pictures.
That's
He
one
said,
of them. Go ahead.
uh,
Go ahead.
okay, there's supposed to be one with a up too. There was a noose hanging up in that same facility. Um, there was two, there was two black drivers in Rocky Mount that turned over a UPS truck, and they was fired, didn't get their jobs back. They was two or three whites turned over a UPS truck in Rocky Mount. Not, they was not written up, suspended, or fired. This is what I call white privilege. There was two white clerks that came up short. They drawer came up short at the end of the day, and nothing happened to them. In fact, one of the white supervisors asked one of the black female help her pay the money back that was short, and the female said no, and which I don't blame her. But on the other hand, when one black came up short, her drawer came short. End of the day, they fired her and another black that wasn't even there, and they didn't get their jobs back. See, there's a lot of double standards in UPS, and I call it white supremacy. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
White, two white supervisors, a white supervisor and a manager.
Shout
Was
out to everybody in the chat too. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Peace and blessings. I thank y'all for watching.
okay. Okay. We had a manager that when he quit UPS for about a year and a half and went to work for another company, when he decided to come back, they hired him back and gave him the same position. And then when he did come back, he was out for another year for sickness. But on the other hand, when a black supervisor with 16 years in and was a excellent, good supervisor, when he got sick and lost one of his foot, and he received a prosthetic leg and foot. When he came back about a year for to work, his doctor cleared him to come back to work. UPS manager and division manager had the nurse to tell him to go home and wait for a phone call. But they had already plotted and schemed to get rid of him. And I told him, I said, whatever you do, don't let those racist white know that you got a business on the side. I said, because they already think blacks are making too much money and they do not want you at UPS. That's why they put you through so much hell, try to force you to quit and do everything under the sun to try to discredit you. And after being out of work for about a year, they finally called and told him that they weren't going to hire him back. But after they let him go, how about they hire a white that came in there on a prosthetic leg just like he had? He quit. They hired him twice and he quit them twice. But they would never give the black man a chance, who was a great supervisor. Everybody loved him because he was fair and honest. But that's what UPS don't deal in. It's nothing about fair and honest. It's about racism, corruption at the highest level of the land.
Yeah,
UPS,
that's true.
uh, 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 in 2 months, he said,
Take your time. Take your time. Take your time.
okay,
Yeah, I
let
see.
me get,
They
I
said,
got so much written down.
yeah,
And
you good. Take your time. Take your time. So with all that you experienced, you didn't never find a or file a lawsuit. Somebody asked in the chat.
I filed a complaint with the NAA, I'm not NAACP, with the EEOC.
Uh,
But I'm gonna be honest with you, and I don't want people to take this the wrong way. But most people, when you go to the EEOC, they're black people, and they are scared of these white people in these billion-dollar companies. I'm gonna be honest with you. I ain't gonna sugarcoat nothing. They are afraid because they gave me the runaround with all the stuff that I gave them, and I figured it out. They won't gonna do nothing. I mean, they's in there for a paycheck and they want to drink their coffee and eat their donut. They don't care about your case.
yeah.
And but let me go to this next story.
Okay.
Here's a story where a driver called my coworkers called me one morning and he asked me, he said, when you had your injury with the dogs, did management curse you out? I said, no, why? He said, man, I just got attacked by somebody's dog and bitten. He said, they management cursed me out. I said, what? He said, yes, they cursed me out. And he said his wife had to get off from her job to bring him a first aid. That wasn't supposed to happen. You put UPS supervisor and manager supposed to come out there and let that guy go to the hospital. But this is kind of corrupt stuff that they do.
So when
It's,
you got injured, when the dogs attacked you, you were actually on the clock.
yeah, I was working.
Okay.
Yeah, I was
And
working.
they didn't give you any type of, I guess, workman's comp or
Well, I got workers' comp. Yes, yes, you get
okay.
that. Yes, yes, yeah, sure did. But and then they had the next meeting, the next morning when we had a meeting, they told every driver if we continue to get bit by customers' dogs, that they would start sending us warning letters that we could be suspended and fired. Which I didn't that didn't bother me, but some of the drivers went and got them on a lawyer, went and talked to a lawyer, and the lawyer said, if that happened, you come back to see me. But this is the kind of stuff you go through. He's another driver was sick in bed with the bronchitis, was real sick, and he was like me. We was two of the best workers in the building because we got the most work. And he didn't never lay out of work either, but he was sick this particular day. They called him and threatened him if he didn't come to work, that they was gonna suspend him. Talking about we need you. But see, here's the thing: when you are sick with the flu, you are more harm than good because you can get out there and kill yourself or somebody else too. But they don't care about that. UPS look at it as long as you die on the clock, they don't give a flip. That's just how they are. They are one of the most ruthless companies in the world to work for. Second to none. They are corrupt. He said, not only that, in 2000 March, there was 4 blacks that worked in Rocky Mount was accused of stealing $200,000 worth of jewelry. And there was no properly investigation. The manager and supervisor picked out the 4 blacks, what I see that they did not like, and had the police department to come and arrest them. Keep in mind, they never had one piece of evidence. When they went to court, the judge, from my understanding, talking to one of the union guys, and I talked to them, all 4 of them, the judge kind of scalded them for bringing a frivolous case in court with no facts and evidence. And I think UPS is so racist, they were looking for the judge to find them guilty based on race without any facts and evidence. This is how rotten, racist, and corrupt UPS is. They will do anything in the book if you're black to destroy you. One of the blacks didn't get his job back. Guess why he didn't get his job back? He couldn't post bail to get out. So when he went to court, that's when he got out. They was found not guilty because there was no evidence. But they fired him saying he didn't call in and let them know where he was at when they know he was locked up in jail all that time. The other three got their job back, but the one that couldn't post bail didn't get his job back. That was so unfair.
Definitely.
I mean, because first of all, they were false accused and charged.
Mm-hmm. They might have should have sued themselves. See, a lot of times.
Well, I told her that. I told her you should. But see, they went and got an attorney. And the attorney, what he done, he was working, in my the way I see it, he was working for UPS. He strung them along until the statute of limitation ran out. And I told them you should sue him because for malpractice, I said, if you didn't have a case, he would have never took your case. I said, what happened is he sold y'all out. UPS offered him more money. And that's my opinion. Because she asked me my opinion. I said, that's what happened. They offered him money and he sold y'all out. I said, he never seen y'all. He don't know y'all. Because he was out of Indiana, what one of the girls told me.
And this was in Rocky Mount.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so so you worked in Wilson, North Carolina, Rocky Mount, North Carolina, and Goldsboro.
Well, see, what I deliver in Wilson, but I got my truck. I always had it when I moved to Rocky Mount, go to Rocky Mount and get my truck to come to Wilson. So I worked in Goldsboro, Kingston, Goldsboro, Rocky Mount, Wilson, and some of these other little towns and city. But mainly when I went that way, everything come out of headquarters up there was Rocky Mount.
Okay.
Yeah. But let me move on a little bit further.
What about the union? People are asking about the union. What did the union do?
The union is bought and paid for.
By the company.
They are watered down. They are watered down. One of the supervisors told me one time when I filed a complaint, he said he wasn't worried about the union. He said because he had the union in his back pocket. And he ain't never lied. He didn't never lie. He said, but let me tell you about this guy, our co-worker of mine. He was 27 years old. After he got out in the military, he came to work for UPS. Around 89, he caught a virus around his heart that damaged his heart. He had to have a heart transplant. And after he had the heart transplant, shortly after then, his wife had the baby at the same hospital a few days later after he had got the heart transplant because the newspaper read new heart, new baby. But anyway, when after a year, he got ready to come back to work. When he came back, the UPS manager went to this supervisor and told this supervisor to load him down. That means put a lot of package on him. Well, the supervisor told me he didn't want to do it. He said, because that ain't right. He said, they don't treat white employees like this. He said, he didn't feel right doing it. He said, but what is I'm going to do? He said, if I don't do it, then I won't have a job. He said, so he loaded them down. Well, what happened by having that heart and working like that, that strenuous work, picking up 100 pounds, it'll cause your heart to retain fluid. Because think about it, replacing a heart is nothing like a broken leg, broken ankle, anything like that. You're talking about something different. They could have offered him a job inside the building, like they did this white guy who his eyesight went bad while he was driving. They gave him an 8-hour job inside the building. They could have done the same thing for him to take the stress off. But again, this is the difference when you're black and you're white at UPS. And I'll tell anybody, I'm straight up, it's one of the most rotten, racist, corrupt companies that have ever been here on this earth because of the things and the way they do things. There is no policy that they have went by consistent. They bend the rules in the way. Another thing they do, for many years, they've been forcing us to work They were threatening employees to the point that employees was giving them $4,500 a month back to the company by not taking their lunch hour because they were being threatened and harassed, including me too. They would threaten and harass you. And this is something that's been going on. This is what they got sued for $87 million in California, doing the same thing. And they never stopped. So fines does not stop them from doing what they want to do because that's just who they are and that's how they are. There's some more issues I want to tell you about. Okay, I had a friend of mine who worked in Richmond, Virginia. He was a supervisor. He quit UPS, and he told me the reason he quit because he could not get on the telephone, cuss people out, and threaten people that were sick, that called in sick. He said the manager wanted him to talk ugly and nasty to employees. He said he couldn't do it. He said, man, I'm a spiritual guy. I believe in what's right and wrong. I won't brought up that way. He was already a manager at the hotel he was working at. So what he did, he just gave them a resignation and told them that he was going to do something else. They begged him to not leave them because he was good. He told them, said, no. He said, I'm gone. And at the same time, he also told me before he came a manager, he went to use the bathroom and they told him, you should use the bathroom before you go home or after you get off from work. That's what, look, he ain't the only one. A guy worked with me. They told him the same thing. Told him he shouldn't use the bathroom. Of course, you know they are black. But this is what people don't know. And many people, if nobody tells you what goes on inside of UPS, you won't never know. Let me tell you, days that when it snowed and ice was all over the highway, do you know they come up to us with a piece of paper, wanted us to sign a piece of paper to say that we would not have an accident or injury when we are working out there on a sheet of ice. But this is what they done. They wouldn't they said, you don't need to read the paper, you just need to sign it. And I said, I ain't signing nothing without looking at it. So when I was able to get a hold of the paper and read what it said, it was saying you will be responsible for an accident or injury. And they know they sending you out there in harm's way. They don't, I'm gonna tell you, UPS is about as close to anybody will come to working for slaves. Anytime you hear a white guy say that UPS is like slaves and they don't even go through half of what we go through, you know, that ought to tell you something along. In fact, I stopped a guy. I took away his shotgun and pistol. He was going into the building to kill the supervisor and manager. I stopped it. I can call you right now. If I had time, I could call him. He'll tell you on this phone. I saved him from going to jail. I begged him, man. It took me about 40 minutes to get the shotgun from it and the pistol because he was crying. He was going back into the building to kill him. I just happened to be there. God put me there at the right time because if I hadn't have been there, they probably wouldn't have been here. And of course, he probably got life in prison. But when you make a man mad, we have said for years that we are surprised that some of these UPS managers and supervisors haven't been shot and killed because of the stuff that they have done. And then when I say racist, that's a low statement. But when you start talking about just as bad as not worse as some of the Ku Klux Klan, now then that's more reasonable because they are terrible. People have no clear clue to the things they have done and what they put people through. This guy that I'm telling you about, I took the gun from. He been gone 20 or 22 years. He said he still have bad nightmares on a regular basis about UPS because he been traumatized. That's what they do. They have destroyed a lot of people. Look, I had to take medicine just to go to sleep after dealing with so much stuff out of that. I mean, there was 2 or 3 times of medicine I had to take just so I could sleep. I couldn't sleep. And people don't have a clue. See, this is what you don't hear. People always see the brown uniform and think you make a lot of money. But nobody talks about how much money they have stolen and took from the employees. When they go in there, change our time cards. We have caught them. You come up 3 or 4 hours short in the end of the week. Next week you might come up 2 or 3. They were doing this stuff they was going in the computer changing our time cards. And I wrote the headquarters. Look, this isn't what I'm telling you. Ain't nothing ain't sent to Atlanta headquarters. They know. But see, who benefits from this is the CEO. They get bonus, stock. See, they benefit everything that management steal and take from the employee. All of them people in management benefit from. We don't benefit from that. No. And see, there's so much that employees go through that
No.
people,
What about the guy who got the 237 million?
you know, the judge, this is what I was telling you. The judge went back and took away $198 million from him. And talking about the jury was unfair or unreasonable. But what it was is like I put in the book I wrote. It was too much money for a black man to receive from that racist company. And that judge, I believe, and I would tell him in his face, you benefited from that. That's why you did that. They probably paid you so much money to do that.
So
You
why
know how
why
corrupt,
why did he
huh?
get the lawsuit? What was they doing to him?
This is the guy that, they were calling him boy. And then he had seniority over the whites. They disregard his seniority. They put whites, according to that, over him, like probably bidding on routes or anything. Uh, they discredit they didn't care nothing about his seniority. They looked at him, hey man, you're a black man and we can do you any kind of way. That's how they feel and think. UPS ain't just got that way. They have been that way. Let me tell you, in 19 the Million Man March, I think that was in 1995.
Mm-hmm.
I took off that day. And went, but didn't nobody know I went.
Yeah.
And cause this is my personal time, I can do anything I want to. But when I took off, when I came back to work the next day, one of the white supervisors was going around telling everybody in the building, yeah, Mike Fell took off to go to the Million Man March. Well, when I walked in, black and white were coming up to me, telling me what he said. So later on, the supervisor walked up to me and asked me, he said, well, did you go to the Million Man March? I said, let me tell you something. When you take off on vacation, personal sick days, I have never asked you how many Ku Klux Klan meeting you go to. And when I told him that, he turned red, talking about you didn't have to go where for that. You didn't. He told us the preloader to put an extra 20 stops on my car. I said, I don't care if you put 50 up there. I get paid by the hour.
Yeah.
Because see, I told him, I said, that's a racist statement that you're making right there. I said, but you didn't have to make that. I already know what you are before then. See, I'm not a guy that says a lot, but I'm very outspoken when it comes to race because I know what my parents went through. I know what my grandparents went through. And still, we still have to deal with that right now today. It ain't gone. It's still here and alive. That's why I applaud anybody that take the initiative to speak out about this racism because a lot of blacks does not have the courage. And the reason they don't have the courage is it comes from from their DNA of not speaking out. Because how else can you help anybody if they don't know these things, what these companies doing? And UPS is a company that have always been a racist company from day one. And a lot of people won't say anything because they just afraid. They're afraid. I mean, they don't have that courage. And here's another thing, let me tell you. They was at one time the white supervisor and two white drivers was cutting open black package that was be delivered to black neighborhoods. And when I first were hired, the manager said, or the HR said, anybody caught open any customer package can be fired immediately. Because that's their personal and private stuff. You shouldn't go into it. Now, if it's busted open, you need to tape it up so the merchandise don't fall out. But you can't take a knife or razor and go. They was cutting open the package looking for drugs. But they was only doing it to people, to black customers that it was supposed to be delivered to. So I asked the supervisor one day, I said, isn't there a policy about open customer packets that nobody, even management, is supposed to open this package? And the supervisor said, well, I can do anything I want to. I said, well, now I'm going to tell you what. I said, I'm going to call the CEO and ask him, is that okay for you to do that? That's when he changed that tune because they all the packages they were open that I seen. See, I know the neighborhood that I deliver in all neighborhood, blacks and whites, so I know who lived where. So I know where those packages was going. That and when I told him that, that's when I didn't never see him. Not I can't say he didn't open it no more, but I didn't never see him open any more packages that was to be delivered to blacks. But that's what he was doing, opening up packages, going through them and stuff, and you ain't supposed to do that. That's a violation.
So people in the chat asking what is the title of your book, or have you released it yet?
I haven't released it, but the title of the book is The Dark Side of Brown.
The Dark Side of Brown. Y'all hear it when it's released. And yes, he is retired. What year did you retire, Mr. McPhail?
I retired in 2012.
2012. So
Yeah.
have you been holding this in for that long?
No, what happened? I have been getting stuff. I had people coming all along say, man, I want you to put this in the book. I mean, I have been adding on. Man, I just got through just before February of last year because somebody always was striking. Come on, man, how about do this for? So I had to cut it off because people was keep coming up wanting me to put certain things in the book, and it was delaying me.
Uh-huh.
But there's a lot of good information in that book, and people would be amazed, and you wouldn't think at this day and time people would have to go through or endure the racism and hatred and bigotry. But anybody will tell you, um, that's a racist place. I mean, they if really they should right now be facing a lawsuit of billions of dollars for civil rights violations. For one of the guys told me how supervisor grabbed him in the collar. Another one told me how a manager hit him in the back. And I had one time he didn't hit me, but I went to walk off and I told him I'll be back. He grabbed me by the wrist. And that's when I turned around, came back and told us, if you ever put your hands on me again, I'm going to send you to the hospital. And I promise you're going to be in intensive care on life support. I said, because look, you don't put your hands on me. And see, UPS have trained these racist whites that they can do or say anything. But I did never let them curse at me without me confronting them and letting them know it'll be a sad day in hell if you try me. And I'm not, and everybody knows me. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm a peaceful guy, a peace-loving guy. But I'm a no-nonsense guy, especially when it comes to racism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, because I have been through it, man. I'm gonna tell you.
And there's a lot of UPS former workers and people who have family workers, family members who work for them are definitely in agree with it. So, I'm looking at the chat and, they are definitely agreeing with some of your experiences as well. So
look, it's just like I bet you there's not a black. It's just like if I tell you I haven't never seen racism in my life, that would be one of the biggest lies I told. Anybody worked at UPS and say you haven't seen racism, you're either lying, blind, or crazy. Because it's in the doorway waiting for you to come in.
Yeah. So and that's you just to single out one company. A lot of people in the chat saying yes, a lot of companies, but that's the company you seen it in, and it's definitely.
But this is what I compared it to. Because when I was working, I met with post office. We talked. I talked to FedEx. I talked to DHL. I talked to other truck drivers. All of us at some point we meet at a restaurant and stuff and we eat and we share our stories. There is none of them stories come nowhere close to the story at UPS. And a lot of them was shocked. They said, man, I didn't know they were like that. I said, you wouldn't know. If you're on the outside looking in, you ain't gonna never know. Because it's hard to get black folks to even talk about it. And if it have affected most of us more so than any white.
Yeah.
I mean, and look, I'll tell you. And look, not only I wrote a book about UPS, one day I want to come on and talk to you about my book I wrote about this town. It's same thing, racist.
Which one? Which town you talking about?
LaGrange, I got some bombshells in there for you. You gonna want to hear some of this stuff.
So have you published that book yet?
Uh, yeah, this book is it's published. I mean, I didn't really, go through what you call. I've sold them out of my hands and in the libraries and stuff. But I
Okay,
got a
well,
few left.
we definitely got to talk about that because I think the brother who first told me about you, that's what he first told me about. He first told me about that, and you know, he said, I need to get in touch with you about that. But I guess you wanted to get in touch about this. But yeah, he told me
Yeah.
about that, and I'm interested in that too. So we
Well, you
definitely
know
bring
what?
you on again.
Yeah, cause uh, it's a lot of stuff. And look, you can when a lot of people say you can't make a difference. Now, everybody, and I don't say this, but a lot of people tell me they say, "Man, you made a lot of difference." Cause see, I have spoke out about police brutality, about racist town councils. Me and my brother, we confront them because we are not afraid and we're not scared. No, and my thing is this: somebody got to take to the initiative if you care about this community to speak up. And that's what we have done. We are peace loving people. We ain't no heretical people, nothing like that. But we believe in what's right and we believe in what's fair.
Yeah, definitely. And I appreciate you, coming on and letting the people know, man, because this is something that a lot of people experience, but not a lot of people talk about. So
No, no, and that's the sad thing. I wish more of us would come out. Cause see, they could tell some things I can't tell that happening. Cause everything is something assembly, but sometimes it's a little different.
yeah, yeah,
You know.
it's everywhere. It's
Yep.
everywhere.
Yep.
So man, I sure appreciate you, man. Is there any more? Because I don't want to hold you too long.
Well,
It's
look,
getting
man,
late.
I ain't got nothing but time. Let me look through my notes and stuff because I want to make sure I leave everything on the table, nothing under. I mean,
Okay. They say they love the Frankie Beverly and Mays hat. That's last shall be first, man. You always keep with the jokes. And I appreciate everybody who's engaging. I can't read all the comments, but I definitely thank you for sharing your experiences. But definitely we live in Eastern North Carolina. Eastern
yes,
North
well,
Carolina, Goldsboro, Wilson, Kinston,
but
Smithfield,
but
Johnston County.
let me throw one more thing at you.
All right.
I was a black. This is a guy. He was a black supervisor. He was riding with me, and he was doing a time study one day. So I picked his brain. I said, "Man, backwoods, Wilmington in February." I said, "Man, hey, is y'all as racist as it is right here in this place?" He said, "Man, what in the world are you talking about?" He said, "Man, I heard a white manager say in the meeting one morning, he referred to black people as monkeys and said that black people shouldn't be working at my UPS. They should be at Burger King flipping burgers." I said, "Wait a minute, man. Did none of y'all say anything?" He said, "No." I said, "Man," I said, "it's a good thing I won't there." I said, "Because he wouldn't have got away with that." I said, "That was a lawsuit itself." I said,
Mhm.
"That racist comment like that. And see, look, I have talked to drivers from North Carolina, New Jersey, all around, employees. Everybody say the same thing about how ruthless and racist and corrupt UPS is. Man, it's one of the worstest. Trust me, it's one of the worstest Fortune 500 company in the world for blacks to work.
Well, I work some places, so I just can't only speak for what I've seen, but there's a lot of them out there. I'm not going to say it's not the worst, but there's a lot of them out there.
Okay, I have had about 20 some supervisors because you don't keep the same man as supervisor all the time. And I have had about 13 managers. Only three was white, two black males and one black female. The rest of them white. Majority of those, they were stone racist redneck. It's almost like those people come from a Donald Trump rally or some kind of Grand Wizard Ku Klux Klan rally. That's just what you're dealing with. All of them, how can all of them turn out to be stone racist? Because it's inbred in them. It's nation and worldwide. That's the way I see it. I ain't gonna call it no other way.
Definitely, definitely. Um, yeah, man. So we gonna definitely have to bring you back on and talk about that Lagrange thing too.
Yeah.
But I think this has been very informative. Sharing your information, man. And I certainly appreciate you, Mr. McPhail. Um,
You
and
don't know how much I appreciate you for
yeah,
having me.
yeah. We gonna do it again because we gonna talk about that Lagrange story because we definitely need to get that out there. Um,
Yeah.
but I definitely thank you, man. And if you feel like you ain't saying everything, we'll set up another time. But
But look, that my book is loaded. There's a lot more in there. I just couldn't cover everything.
so people are asking where can they get the book, but it ain't. So when you gonna finish? When you gonna put it in print?
Well, you know what? I might go ahead and try to get it done in the next month or two. I'll let you know. I'll let you know.
Yeah, because that's what I do too. I put it right in print for you and everything. So
Okay. Okay.
it'll be a good thing. If you want to hurry up and get it done, I hurry up and get it done. But I certainly thank you, Mr. McPhail. I
Yes, sir.
certainly thank everybody for tuning in. I'm gonna let you go, but we're gonna talk a little bit later. All right, Mr. McPhail.
Yes, sir. You have a good night and thanks for everything.
All right, you too.
All right.
All right, so now Jimmy don't have a channel. But I might get him to get one because he has a lot of information. He's very adamant. We talked for a long time about the instances he talks about. So we definitely might have to have him back. But I see y'all in the comments, mentioning all of y'all experiences from the different companies. It's definitely I don't think I worked for a company that wasn't run by rich white people and they experienced some form of racism. Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings, my brother. How you doing?
Pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I called to give you something, man. This is definitely something you definitely want to look at.
All right, so listen, we live. You on the live show? I thought you was a live call in. So give me about 15 minutes. I'm gonna call you right back.
Say no more.
All right.
Love you, brother.
All right, love you too, man. So yeah, man, I appreciate everybody for tuning in, man. Tonight, I haven't been going live that often, but there's a lot of people with a lot of stories to share. So if y'all, we'll definitely. He hasn't published the book yet, so we gonna work on it. But I definitely appreciate y'all for tuning in. We're gonna be doing more lives with more people, more guests. So if you have a story that needs to be shared, or if you have a testimony, about any experience that you feel needs to be publicized, that you feel that it may help someone, then please don't hesitate to reach out. Y'all see my number up there, 919-587-7782, or you can send an email to taylorhousepublications.com, or send me a Gmail, a text, anything. But I definitely I seen those, Will. Just I'm gonna get to those in a minute, about that. But I definitely thank y'all for tuning in, man. I pray y'all have a blessed night. Y'all stay safe if y'all in the cold parts, and I wish everybody peace and blessings. Peace.